Hello and welcome to today's episode of Veeam Tech Bites. I am the Rickatron back here in Ohio, but I got two special guests tuning in from the Beehive State from Utah. Julia Furst Morgado, how are you doing today, Julia?
I'm doing great, but I'm losing my voice. I've been here since Sunday, so you'll probably hear some pitches.
Oh yeah, you know it's a great conference, and actually it's two conferences because of Rejects. You had Cloud Native Rejects kick in on Sunday. You know it's a good event when you're losing your voice. Also back on the show, Matt Bator. How you doing today, Matt?
Bad, Rick, and I have never once in my life had a problem talking, so I'm happy to help out, Julia.
Well, Matt, you're doing better. The sling is gone, so we've had you on in all conditions, for everything from the Eiffel Tower to almost the ER. So welcome back, both of you. And where are we this week?
Oh, we're in Salt Lake City, and we've been, the conference has started, well, two conferences started since Sunday. So we had Rejects on Sunday and Monday. And then on Tuesday, we had the co-located event, OpenShift Commons. We'll show a few pictures. And yesterday started the official conference, KubeCon here in Salt Lake City.
Yeah, it looks pretty packed. And, Matt, we were talking about, some of our, you kind of made the case to have some fun stuff. Tell me about what's going on here in the fun stuff.
Oh, yeah. Nothing goes with data protection quite like hip hop. I think everyone knows this, right? But yeah, we've got some really cool swag at the booth this year. My Naughty by Nature T-shirts for, you're down with me. No, we're down with protecting PVCs because Veeam.
Oh boy.
PVCs, of course, being persistent volume Kubernetes, like nerd jokes for the win.
Nerd rap, nerd R&B. It's funny.
Yeah.
I kind of like, what's going on with Fippy? That he's gone a little angry, a little bit Jersey. I love it. The other thing I want to highlight here, anybody watching this stream, they're like, "Oh, that dog is cute." It's not a corgi; it's a big corgi. I don't know, but
it's a big
cute.
corgi, and he had a blue eye and a green eye, so different. He was really cute. Yes,
the dual color eye dogs. Those are always a conversation starter.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then
the Veeam booth was pretty packed the whole day yesterday. We had a magician, so yeah, really grabbing the attention of the crowd. He's awesome.
Yeah, that's Anders, and friends, that is money. I think that's like I think it's like $2,000.
Who doesn't want money?
Yeah, and it is actually wicked to watch Anders do this. He will it's something like so simple. He'll give you a quarter and have you put it in one of your hands and hide it behind your back, and he every time will find it because he can just read your body language. And I used to go home and then practice it on my kids because I know my kids, and then when they were really young especially, and I can read their body language different. I'm not trained in these arts, but I learned part of these tricks. Good stuff. And then looks like our booth had some pretty good action there with some demo stands and all. So a lot of interest, it looks like.
It's actually just behind me right now. You can't see it out of just barely in behind me there. The expo hall will be opening. We've mostly in here right now, but the expo hall will be opening just as we wrap up. So I'll be very that my Wi-Fi holds out for the next 20 minutes or so.
Yeah, we got you full up there. We did see the booth in the background. I saw Anders enter just now. So yeah, we're getting ready. The keynote is wrapping. So good stuff. Big theme here is building resilience, effective backup and DR for vector databases on Kubernetes. And Julie, I think I saw you take a photo with the lady on the left, and then that's Pravina. And who are those folks?
Swida, and they both, two are Veemers. They gave a talk at KubeCon yesterday, and it was huge. The conference, it was a huge room, a lot of people interested in that because it's a hard topic, but people are starting to use databases on Kubernetes and want to learn more how to build those effectively. So it was a really, really good talk. I'm glad they gave that talk.
Yeah, indeed. In fact, these vector databases, I don't know, Matt, if you want to talk a little bit about, what are some of the apps that are going to use a vector database? Just kind of put this in the stack for me to let the audience know where's that common.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think if you'll allow me to take a step back, it sort of fits into the bigger theme of one topics that we're hearing everywhere at KubeCon this year, and I don't think it's a surprise to anyone to hear that that's AI specifically in the enterprise. And this is that was a very key theme when we were in Paris six months ago as well. But it's very interesting to me to see how this evolves show after show, specifically because it's this entire event is dedicated to community, right? It's all about sharing design patterns, because Kubernetes is a great platform for AI and machine learning workloads. When you think about wanting to run these things across multiple different clouds, so you can get access to scarce GPU resources across multiple different providers, Kubernetes becomes this incredible layer to companies take advantage of. But I won't say that it's necessarily the simplest thing that someone can do out of the box, simply because the good news is you have options, and the bad news is you have options. So it is incredibly beneficial for attendees to come and hear from other practitioners about where success, where they've struggled. A lot of thinking about keynote from yesterday, a lot of the folks that we heard from, Capital One, CoreWeave, a lot of what they were talking about was really doing this at an incredible scale. CoreWeave was talking about deploying and managing clusters that had 10,000 to 30 NVIDIA H100 GPUs in it. Intuit about doing 40 million inferences a day in AI pipelines. And topics of things like observability and efficiency become very important. When you're talking about scale, there's a massive difference, right, between 90% uptime on being able to run AI jobs and 95% uptime or 96% uptime. And we all know that those GPUs aren't cheap, right? So all of those learnings, week after week, month after month, really matter. But so getting back to the presentation that Pavan and Shweta gave, I think the other thing we're seeing at this show is we're seeing all these great examples of doing AI at full scale, but we are seeing a low barrier to entry on how individual businesses can start building AI into their own applications. One of the most common patterns for that being what we call RAG, or retrieval augmented generation, right? So how do I take a foundational, maybe that's an open source model or a closed source model, but adding my corporate data, things that I don't want to be feeding into something like ChatGPT in a public setting, but I want to I want to be able to take advantage of these natural language interfaces, but have it understand things from my corporate knowledge base. And that's exactly what retrieval augmented generation, what you see on screen here, is a very kind of diagram of taking whether it's databases or data lakes, other unstructured data, feeding that through an embedding model to be able to then pop into one of these vector databases, such that it can get chained into, using some foundational model to whether it's improving customer support experience. For me internally, like being able to ask simple questions about analytics we might collect from our own products. But when we're talking about taking all of that data, continuously feeding it into these vector databases that are typically going to be hosted, where we're serving that AI application internally. Those vector databases are continuously, oftentimes, receiving new and up-to-date information. Right. That's why I don't ask ChatGPT about something that happened yesterday. It doesn't know, right? But with something like retrieval augmented generation, you can constantly be feeding it that most up-to-date relevant data. I want to make sure that that's protected. In some cases, maybe I could regenerate that same vector database, but again, then we're about time and resources and a business lens perspective. What does that unavailability of that tool mean, as we are increasingly we're increasingly taking more advantage of these chat interface type of tools, and that's exactly where tools like Kasten come in to help people protect those cloud native workloads. And that's exactly what Pavan and Shweta were about to that audience yesterday.
Yeah, so a lot to unpack there, Matt. Really good overview. And
so I don't have short answers.
No. But I think it's also really important to note that this event also co-located with is Cloud Native Con. So when you think about these scale applications, use cases, et cetera, that you just explained, they're super important from that regard. And then tell me about the other Matt, talking about a couple other things going on at the event as well.
Yeah, so this was the OpenShift Commons. Yeah, you tell a little bit more about your talk, but we had a table there. So our staff was there talking about our solution, Kasten, how to use it with OpenShift. And we had also Matt Slotin, which is our principal solutions architect, being part of a panel about data protection in Kubernetes, so base solutions versus traditional ones. And our Matt Bator talking about validated patterns, SIG. You want to talk a little bit more about it, Matt?
Yeah. So this is one of sort of the many co-located events that take place before the official start of KubeCon. There's a number of different very interest or tool-based spin-out conferences like ArgoCon. There was an AI Day as a colo event this year, but specifically within OpenShift Commons, Red Hat is an incredible partner for Veeam Kasten. I mean, they are the enterprise solution for running Kubernetes and extend so far beyond just the distribution itself to provide this other tooling to make it simpler for organizations to run these platforms. Specifically, this pattern talk that I was giving, the validated pattern framework, is yet another one of these tools that's built by the Red Hat team. That's essentially an opinionated GitOps stack that makes it very simple to do consistent automated deployments of very complex infrastructure, and then taking it all the way down through the applications themselves. This was a project that I actually worked on as part of our 7.5 release, was extending an existing Red Hat pattern that was focused on deployment of OpenShift virtualization VM. So this is, if you've heard of the KubeVirt project, this is running virtual machines on top of Kubernetes. Virtual machines, I'm sure this audience is well aware, these are inherently stateful workloads, right? So if I'm running VMs on Kubernetes, I need to make sure that these are regularly backed up. So this the validated pattern that I built find at validated.io today is extending that OpenShift virtualization pattern to auto deployment of Kasten, automate its configuration with a bunch of best practices built in, and ensuring that you've got an out-of-the-box solution where those virtual machines are going to be continuously protected. And one of the benefits of Kasten being, truly a Kubernetes native application itself, it just installs on the cluster. All of the APIs are Kubernetes native APIs. So being able to work within this ecosystem of automation tools, things like Argo CD, to do automated deployments and lifecycle managed applications, gives us, an incredible opportunity to, improve that out of the box experience for customers.
Well, Matt, great overview. One thing I gotta ask is, what was KubeCon and Cloud Native Con after dark? That sounds like I'm missing some fun. So look at that. I don't know about you guys, but I always try to find the craziest things on some of these pictures. But that one stuck out to me, so that looks good.
I'm an 80-year-old man on the inside, so I was in bed. Maybe Julia could fill us in.
Yeah. We hosted a party with them, with Red Hat and AWS last night. That's why I don't have my voice. But it was awesome. It was awesome. The place was great. There was several rooms, one with piano, one with techno music. And we had a lot of attendees. So we usually host very good parties.
Oh yeah. But I got a rule, friends. No, seriously. You're younger than me, Matt, but I'm not inside that old. But I've got a rule: nothing good happens after 10 p.m. And most of the time I stick to that rule. So good stuff. All right. So now we got a little special thing for the Veeam Tech Bytes audience. And I got Jeffrey, our producer, ready to queue up a cool little video. Let's set the stage. Before we go into 7.5, let's introduce Veeam Kasten for Kubernetes.
As the pace of application modernization continues to accelerate, so do platforms like Kubernetes for deploying, scaling, and managing containerized applications. And just like their traditional predecessors, cloud-native applications demand data resilience from day zero to protect against data loss and outage events like failure, deletion, and ransomware. Trusted by the world's largest organizations, Veeam Kasten delivers secure, enterprise-ready protection that's native to Kubernetes, ensuring you're resilient against whatever's thrown your way. Kasten keeps your business running with automated backup, restore, and DR of your entire application, including data both inside and outside the cluster. Compliant with multiple regulations, and integration ready with your existing workflows and solutions like GitOps, SIEM, and cloud security, Kasten ensures you're ready for any security event. Better yet, application mobility and transformation across the most complete set of distributions and platforms guarantee your apps are easily portable on-premises and in the cloud. Give your operations and application teams the power to withstand the unexpected, while delivering services faster and more confidently. Get started with Veeam Kasten for free today, and say goodbye to complex scripting, unsupported tools, and legacy solutions.
Yeah, cool stuff. I love that. Really good explanation of this capability. We're always pushing the limit here on Veeam Tech Bytes. We've got snafus, but you know what? We're going to do something different. I have no fear. With Jeffrey and Felicia at the wheel, we can get these cool things done. So next up, I'd like to really talk about kind of the heart of some of the news that we brought to the event. And either one of you want to talk us through 7.5.
I think Matt is the right person to talk about that.
Yeah, sure. So I know we'll be short on time here, but I'll try to a few key things. For those less familiar, we maybe a bit different than some products in that we release often. So we do a new Veeam Kasten every 2 weeks, continuously drip feeding in newer enhanced capabilities, obviously security fixes, bug fixes, things like that. But try to wrap this up into a larger release every 6 months or so. And Kasten 7.5 represents our latest sort of leap in capabilities, which it spans a bunch of different areas, from scalability, security, expanding new workloads that we cover. But just a few key things to maybe touch on here. Granular data mover resourcing. So this was something that I've been working for the last few months. Within Kasten itself, we're very dynamic about how we consume resources for doing data movement, right? So the idea is I should be able to spin down to nothing if there are no export or restore operations going on. So we're very efficient about how we consume cluster resources, but not all applications are created equal in terms of the rules required to back those up, right? So applications that have volumes with millions and millions of files typically are going to require more resources to be able to export those. Up until this point, we've kind of had an approach of one size fits all approach for these we call worker pods to do that data mover work. And I would have to essentially account for what is my high watermark of my most complex, most difficult to protect application on that cluster to say, okay, all data mover pods are going to get this amount of CPU, this amount of memory. And that's not, in large size environments, I want those fine-tuned controls to be able to add what I need for my kind of standard applications versus how I address those most complex apps. And that's actually what this granular data mover resourcing capability allows us to do. It is a couple of new Kubernetes native custom resources that allow you to essentially define profiles of for different custom pod types. What are CPU requests and memory, similar to in vSphere, setting those requirements is very important for doing initial VM scheduling on individual hosts, and for DRS, it's the exact same idea in Kubernetes. So this allows us to, again, just really find those operations in large customers and be able to match the required resources for those applications. So I would say on the availability side, that's definitely a big one. On the security side, this is something where we're continuously listening to existing customer and prospect feedback about what they need. Again, because this is still such a rapidly evolving space. Veeam is obviously highly committed to the benefits of immutable storage for backup data, right? This is our last line of defense. I want to make sure that once I've exported that backup data, no one can touch it. Today, we support AWS S3 compliant storage. I'm talking about through VBR hardened repositories and Azure Blob. And we're excited to expand that list of supported storage to Google Cloud Storage now as well. So essentially, pick a type of object storage you want to export to. Kasten supports a way to make that data immutable.
One comment on that, Matt, when I look at the Google Cloud Storage immutability, that's a big one. And it truly makes sense that we bring that into the Kubernetes world with, just the nature of Kubernetes and such. For those watching, there will be a time that this comes over to Veeam Data Platform for BNR, but I'm not going to talk about it at this show. But it's good to see that we've got it over there, as well as some of these other additional enhancements for other platforms, always in style with some of the different priorities going on. But you know what? this show doesn't do 7.5 justice. We have so much more coming about Kasten 7.5. It looks like you got a webinar coming up in early December with the Matt and Matt team to take care of all the details.
Yeah, it's still slides right now. So, but would, really happy to see the folks on the live stream today. If you're interested in learning more about all of the new capabilities in 7.5, we're going to try and go as deep as time allows, and looking forward to sharing more of those details.
All right. Speaking of deep, we're going deep in the playbook. I've got Matt on the floor at the booth right when the keynote's wrapping up. It's starting to get live. We've got Julia with no voice outside of the event in a quiet space, and my producers still pull this off. So big thank you, Jeffrey and Felicia. Matt, thank you for an incredible overview here today from the show floor.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Rick.
Julia, thank you for pushing through even with no voice.
It's always a pleasure. Thank you, Rick.
All right. Outstanding show, everyone. And a couple of points. Next Tuesday, we have the Industry Insight. This is going to be up with one of our global systems integrators. Atos is up. And Thursday, I think that's me. Wait, no, it won't be me because I'm on a plane. I'll be coming back from London. Kirsten, I think, is up talking with one of our service providers, Otava, about increasing your cybersecurity posture through tips you may have forgotten. Even though it's not Cybersecurity Month, cybersecurity is always in fashion. And on behalf of me and the global production team, I want to thank everyone for watching. That concludes our episode of Veeam Tech Bites.